Hi everyone, this is Carrie Plass, CIE's Teach in the Czech Republic coordinator. So we'll go ahead and get started now. I think we've checked the sound and the screen, so if you ever can't see what I'm talking about at some time or can't hear me, please write in the questions bar so that we can correct any technical difficulties. Also, if you ever have any questions, we want this to be interactive, so please write them as they come up and we'll be answering them throughout the webinar. I promise that we'll get to every question that's asked, but we might answer it later in the webinar as we have a lot of different topics we're going to be covering. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you're excited to learn more about the Czech Republic. I am very grateful that we have 3 of our current teachers in the Czech Republic here, and that's Deanna, Olivia, and Michael, and they're going to be introducing themselves, and you'll get to know them a little bit later. And so we'll go ahead and get started. So first, teaching in the Czech Republic, we're going to be hearing from our current participants. This is actually Jessica, one of our current participants, and some of her students that are in the Czech Republic. And we're going to talk a little bit about why you might want to go abroad with CIE, an overview of our Teach in the Czech Republic program, and then we'll introduce the current participants, hear about their experiences on different topics, and you can ask them your questions throughout the webinar. So again, please be as interactive as possible and write your questions. You will not be unmuted during the webinar. You'll be writing them in, but our panelists will be able to log in and out to verbally answer your questions. So why would you want to teach abroad with CIE? So with CIE, we will be assisting you in finding the best program for you. Hopefully you're all here because you're interested in the Czech Republic, but we do offer a lot of other programs. If you find this isn't the best fit for you, we're happy to help you find one that maybe is. We provide guidance through the application process. So with the Czech Republic, I'm going to be your primary coordinator before you go to the Czech Republic, and then my colleague at our study center in the Czech Republic, TV, or Teresa, she is going to be your main point of contact once you're actually in the Czech Republic. So we're always here for you 24/7 while you're in country and also beforehand. We help you get your placement in the Czech Republic before you go and help you get the appropriate visa. The visa for the Czech Republic is called the employee card. You don't need to know too many details about it right now. Besides that, it's a really long process. Some of our panelists can tell you there's a long waiting time with the Czech Republic, and we do guide you through that as best as we can. But the Czech government is a bit slow sometimes with processing that, so patience is key, and it helps us as we prepare to go to the Czech Republic, where sometimes, certainly when you teach abroad, you do need to be patient and adapt to finding out things last minute and things like that. So we're going to be helping you out with that before you go to the Czech Republic. We also have a pre-departure preparation course that TV and I have prepared that you get to use to learn a little bit of Czech and learn about the Czech culture prior to going over to the Czech Republic. Once you arrive in the Czech Republic, your airport transfer from the airport to the orientation is arranged for you. You'll be getting provided accommodation for a week or 2 when you arrive for orientation at our CIE Study Center housing in Prague. And then accommodations in the Czech Republic are a bit different. So for some placements, you do have provided accommodation, and then you'd earn 13,000 Czech crown on that because your accommodation's provided rent-free. And then for many of our placements, the accommodation's not provided, and you earn a higher salary of 20,000 Czech crown per month. And you do get assistance finding your housing, but ultimately getting that housing will be up to you. So in the end, your take-home salary should end up to be about the same. The people who do not have provided accommodation have that higher salary so that they can afford to take rent out of their salary. So we'll be talking about accommodation later in this, but that's something that you're going to get assistance with or even have provided for you with your placement. All United States citizens were able to give you travel insurance with our INEX Platinum insurance, but you also get Czech insurance from your Czech school. If you're not from the United States, you do get a little discount, since we can't offer you the INEX insurance. Regardless, all of you will be having that Czech insurance from your school and then the travel insurance as well. Again, you get support from our study center, and then when you return to your home country, you're going to be a member of the CIE Alumni Network, which is like 300,000 people or more, and you definitely can use that network to help find jobs when you get back and things like that. And the photo on this page is some of our current teachers, and one of their excursions are just walking around Prague during orientation. Again, these are participants from the last couple of years, so we're actually going into our fourth year of the Czech Republic. So in 2019, it will be our fourth departure that we have. And our program's been continually growing, and we expect it to grow a little bit this year as well. So the departure, we have one per year, which is in August, and you go and attend orientation at our study center in Prague. And then you do start teaching. The school year goes from the beginning of September to the end of June every year. So it is a 2-semester commitment. As I mentioned, you'd be earning 13,000 Czech crown per month if you have provided accommodation, or 20,000 Czech crown per month without accommodation. You also will be earning the TEFL certification on this course, which is a 150-hour certification valid for life and recognized worldwide. So that's part of the program, and it definitely will help you as you lead your classroom, but it also helps you if you want to tutor or teach elsewhere in the future. It's going to be valid for life. I myself got the certification and have my teaching degree and have found it to be quite useful so far personally. So as I mentioned, we'll have the pre-departure preparation course, which is kind of a fun online course. And then there's a lot of different webinars and support as we help you throughout the visa process and just getting ready to go to the Czech Republic. And as well, when you're in country, you have that orientation in your first days in the Czech Republic, and we'll let our panelists tell you a little bit more about that. This is our current group that's in the Czech Republic, and TV is my colleague in the Czech Republic. She's the woman with the red hair in the middle here. So she's your coordinator once you're in the Czech Republic, and I'm the one helping you prior to your departure. So when you're in the Czech Republic, you're going to be working as the lead teacher or the language assistant. It does depend on your placement. And you're teaching at a public or private Czech school within an hour of Prague. So you're always going to be pretty close to Prague. And if you choose to select your accommodation, you can definitely choose to live where you want to. Just keeping in mind, city center in Prague is a lot more expensive than living more on the outskirts. And if you choose to live far away from your school, then you're going to have a further commute from your school. You could be teaching students ages 6 to 15, and you'll be working 20 hours per week in the classroom plus preparation time. A lot of our teachers choose to tutor on the side to make extra money, so some of our teachers who are here today will tell us about their experiences with that. And you will be teaching English as a foreign language. All right, so that's the basics of the program, which you probably already know or maybe have read about on our website. Now we'll get to the exciting part where we actually get to introduce you to our teachers, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves today. So first up, we have Deanna. Deanna, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name's Deanna. I'm from New Jersey, and like everybody else, I arrived in Prague in August. I'm currently teaching at a school called Da Vinci, which is about 20 minutes outside Prague. I'm going south, and I am going to be staying next year to teach at the school, so I'll probably see you all at some point. Prior to this, I was teaching through CIEE in Thailand last year, so I did that for a year. And my background is in education. I did American Studies and then social studies and special education.
Cool, thank you. I'll let you tell about your photos on this page.
Yeah, so the one on the left is the John Lennon Wall, which is a popular attraction in Prague. The middle is a group shot that a lot of CIEE participants went to during orientation or right after. It was in Pilsen, which is about an hour outside of Prague. And then my last photo is with my second graders. I teach grades 1st through 5th grade, and yeah, it was just an activity that we were doing one day.
Thank you. And then we have some top tips.
Yeah, so like Carrie said, a lot of us do tutor, and I totally recommend it, especially if you plan to travel, which I'm sure many of you are planning to do. I cover most of my weekly expenses just with my tutoring money, so I rarely even dip into my money that I get from my school until I pay rent. So tutoring is a quick way to get cash, and it's awesome. You also get to meet some Czech people and, you know, some people outside of just the CIE participants, which is really great to do. Another tip is to learn. You don't have to be intense with learning Czech, but it's really good to pick up on a few basic Czech words before coming here. I recommend Duolingo or even just some YouTube videos. They do go a long way with Czech people, and it will make your life a lot easier. Even if you just say hello in Czech, you'll get a lot of smiles from Czech people saying thank you. So again, just know the basics, and that will help you a lot. One thing that I found, I like to try different cafes around Prague, and it's a way to really get you out, especially during winter when you kind of just want to stay inside because it's cold and cloudy. So I make it like a goal to try a different cafe maybe once a week to see different areas of Prague, and also just as a way to kind of get out and about. And finally, I definitely recommend watching this YouTuber, the Honest Guide channel. He shows some great places to go in Prague, in the Czech Republic, and abroad. He even did some videos in the United States. But it's really good to check out because he shows you areas to go that's outside of the tourist areas. So I know I look at videos every week and try to try out some places that he recommends to go to.
Great, thanks a lot. So we'll be hearing definitely more from her in a moment, but now we'll have Michael is going to introduce himself. Michael, I think you should have permissions to unmute yourself now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. Sorry, my Wi-Fi isn't the best. I'm traveling at the moment and I'm sitting in the hotel lobby. But yes, my name is Michael. I'm from Orange County, California. I went to Arizona State University and graduated with communications, and now currently working on my teaching credential back home in California. I arrived with Deanna and Olivia back in August. Had a blast, still having a blast, and currently teach actually at EduConnect, which is going to be south of the city, around about maybe 5-10 miles, not too far. The cool thing is I do live very close to my school, so I do recommend when you are looking for an apartment or a flat, look for one close to the metro. It's a game changer for sure.
Thanks, Michael. Before we get to your photos, can you tell us how is it doing your master's program while living abroad?
So when I first got here, I still had a couple classes I had to do, so it was online, super easy for me. The Wi-Fi back home, it actually is pretty great. But I did take this spring semester off, and we'll be planning to continue in fall. But it's relatively easy so far.
All right, cool. Thank you. So we'll let you share a little bit about some of your photos on this page.
So the top two photos are going to be on the left-hand side of my house. It was snowing about 2 weeks ago, and that's actually not too common, but it stayed for a week or two, but definitely staying in the low 30s, high 20s, and my room right there. To the right, that's the school I work at, and EduConnect, which, as I said, south of the city. The bottom pictures you're going to notice on the bottom right is my office at the school, and then the bottom left are going to be from London. We took the kids to London, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm super happy that all the kids behaved. I have 9th graders, so they're a little bit easier to control, I guess.
Cool, thank you. And then I think you had a few more photos here too.
Oh, there we go. So that's going to be the top one's a Czech buddy tour. Super cool. You get to walk around with someone your age and do the ins and outs of Prague. And he can ask any questions or answer any questions you have regarding, what are the good shops to go to for coffee, for groceries, where to find, bedding and all the sorts of stuff that you really don't think of until you actually get there. And then the bottom one, I think Deanna touched on that, is when we went to Pilsen. So my buddy Adrian and I went to the Pilsen Brewery Company, Pilsner Quell, had a great time. And then the bottom two right are going to be from the Thanksgiving, and that's my roommate as well.
Thanks, Michael. And can you explain, you mentioned the CIE or the Czech buddy. Can you explain kind of what that is for people not familiar with the term?
You have him 1 or 2 days and have about 10 people They take you around the Czech Republic, like I said, answer any questions you have, and so many questions pop up, and they're just the perfect person to ask when it comes to restaurants, groceries, like I said. They take you to the local spots rather than the tourist spots, and really give you a sense of direction before you part off.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, that's something that's arranged at orientation and by our staff in the Czech Republic. So then, thanks for sharing all your photos, Michael. Here are some of your tips.
Yes, like Jana said, watch The Honest Guide. He is incredible. You know, he's funny. He tells you stuff to go see outside the city. For example, the latest one was Liberec, which is a perfect skiing mountain an hour north of the city, and it was just awesome. He'll tell you how to get there, what to buy, what to eat. He'll tell you even stuff in Prague, even where to stay. I know that's a big question I had before I went is, you know, Prague is pretty big. What are the cool hip areas to stay? What are places to stay out of? And so on. Listen to Carrie on TV. Carrie is for all things related to visa and pre-departure questions. If you're going out of the LA consulate, I feel sorry for you. But no, Carrie has been on the phone with them numerous amount of times to get our visas approved. They do take a long time, but I promise they will come through. And then TV is your go-to Czech person that comes with an incredible amount of knowledge, all things Czech. And on top of that, she loves beer and she'll go out with you any night of the week just to even talk and hang out. And let's see, the last one, be prepared to hit the ground running. The moment you step off the plane in the Czech Republic, you are bombarded with Czech classes, culture classes, language classes, visa, like she said, visa application process, even more, this Czech card, and also setting up your credit cards, all this stuff. Just be prepared to get moving the first week.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. All right. And then, you have a couple more tips. I forgot. So can you share these tips as well?
Yeah, I guess that's not really a tip, but just my last name is English, so the kids always think it's funny. I guess a tip is just be prepared for some obscure questions from your students. I guess that's just goes with the territory of being a teacher as well. Also, be prepared to love beer. Czech is the beer capital of the world. You can buy a beer for 22 crowns, if you're lucky, 17 crowns, which is roughly 90 cents to $1.20. And if you really want to get a nice, unique beer, you'll probably pay, I don't know, 80 crowns, which is $4 at most. So definitely be prepared to try new things. And then you can always contact me if you have any questions, Instagram or email as well.
All right. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Olivia, who's here, and she's our third panelist, so she'll be telling us a bit about herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia. I hope you guys are all so excited. Living in the Czech Republic has definitely been the best year so far. But I am from Riverside, Illinois. It's a little town just outside of Chicago. I arrived with Michael and Deanna. Actually, I arrived 2 weeks before. I came 2 weeks before with my mom and my brother just to explore the city and explore Czech Republic with them. They helped me get a little settled in. My bachelor's degree is in art education from Hope College. So before coming here, I was teaching art at an elementary school, K through 5. And I'm really happy my school that I'm at right now offered me to still teach art classes while I'm at their school. So I teach English and art. And also before the Czech Republic, I was waitressing at an Irish pub, assistant teaching painting courses, and also teaching art camps. The pictures that you see, the one to the left, is from my trip to Vienna, Austria. I went there for my birthday weekend. So much fun to spend birthday weekend in another country. And then the picture to the right is a picture of me in Berlin.
Thank you. Here's some more photos.
Okay, the picture to the bottom left, you'll see my kiddos, 6 of them. I really, really love the school that I teach at is a Montessori class, so it focuses on smaller class sizes, and those are my kiddos in ceramics class. Ages, I think they are all in 1st grade and 2nd grade. My school has a kiln and clay, lots of resources, so I'm able to teach that class. The picture in the upper middle is a picture of me with my little kindergartners. During Halloween time, we created our own little pumpkin cake recipe. I teach kindergarten on Tuesday and Thursday mornings for a couple hours and have really enjoyed my time with them. The picture on the bottom middle is from my birthday this year. In October was my birthday, and you would think that you'd be really sad being away from home on your birthday, but my school made it really, really special. My principal bought me a bouquet, and 2 of my other teachers got me gifts as well, and the whole school sang me happy birthday. It was really, really sweet, and totally made me forget about home. And then the picture to the right is when I first came in August. It's a picture on the Charles Bridge, and yeah.
Great, thank you. And then you had a couple of tips that you wanted to share.
Yes. Okay, so number 1 tip, if you're able to, I would definitely save a lot of money. Not because it's not doable without it, but because it's really nice to just have, I saved $5,000 before coming, and I still have money just left over. It's just starting to be used up. But for this $5,000, I was able to pay for those initial costs and not be super stressed out, and also have time to get settled in and get tutoring jobs. So now I have 6 or 7 students, and just in time for that original money that I brought to be spent up. But it's really great for the travel money. I would also recommend tutoring while you're here to families. It's not only about earning the money, but the relationships that I have with the Czech families has been really, really wonderful, because I've had the chance to really know Czech people and experience the culture. And I go to Strančice. It's a town about an hour outside of the city. On Mondays, I don't teach at my school, so I go there on Mondays. And every time I see my families, they welcome me with coffee and tea and cakes, and always check to see how I'm doing. So that's been a little bit like family away from home as well, and practice my Czech. And then that goes to the third point. I would use Duolingo or another program to learn basic Czech phrases. Half the staff at my school doesn't know English, but we have really wonderful relationships, because I'll say some simple things in Czech, like there's one woman who doesn't know any English, a lick of it, but we'll sit at lunch together and point to our food and say brambori, potato, and then laugh, because we've somehow managed to communicate with each other. But hello and goodbye and thank you go a really long way, not only to your staff, but also when you're out and about in Prague. Even when I'm ordering something now at a cafe or a restaurant, to say prosím, please, and to say děkuju and thank you, and that all goes, their faces light up, and they realize that you have an appreciation for their country and that you're there to learn. And don't be shy or embarrassed of making mistakes, because you're trying and messing up, and that's more than not trying at all.
Thanks, Olivia. I definitely do think in traveling it's always good to learn at least a few phrases, especially if you're living there, because it does open a lot of doors than it not knowing any Czech or not trying while you're living there. So good tips. All right. So thanks so much, everyone, for introducing yourself. And again, to all of you out there who are not panelists, if you have any questions, please do write them at any time. We're going to start going into our topics, but we'd love to hear your questions as you think of them. Oops, sorry, Olivia. I forgot you had some more tips. Here you go. Olivia will share more tips while you think of questions.
I'll go through these quick. I would really highly suggest trying to make friends outside of the CIEE program. Our program was 23, 24 teachers, and I think yours will, I'm not sure what the next groups is, but it's easy to get into a little American bubble and just hang out with Americans or other English speakers. But it's super, super cool when you make friends from other countries. Some of my two closest friends, one is from the Czech Republic and another is from Ukraine, and it's been really wonderful getting to know them and getting to know how they grew up and their culture. Go on long walks. That helps me. It's a little easy way to work off those cakes, Kolaczki, and also a better layout of the city, understanding, and an awesome way to find new places, cafes and restaurants, and also allows for you're going to grow a lot in the year that you come here, and it really gives you an opportunity to kind of have some alone time and quiet time while also enjoying the beauty of Prague. And lastly, journal while you're here. I've never thought of myself as a writer, but now I realize that it's not about the good writing or the bad writing, but journaling is a really wonderful way to write down your experiences, your memories, your emotions, and your thoughts that you're going through, and developing self-growth in that way.
Great. Thanks, Olivia. All right. So now we're going to go into the topics. And again, thank you everyone for introducing yourself. So first up, we're going to be talking a little bit about packing. So Michael, do you want to take us away on that topic?
Yeah, sure. Basically pack light. Honestly, there's so many stores and shops you can buy anything here. Last week I went to a Decathlon store and bought $5 running pants and $20 skiing pants. So honestly, you can pack light and buy stuff when you get here. The only thing that I would say to really invest in is some really good snow boots, and also it is a very nice winter coat. Definitely buy those before you come. And second thing with the packing is your teaching. You want to be business casual, smart casual, but honestly I felt that I was overdressed as well. So a nice pair of jeans, collared shirts, nice pair of shoes, and of course, like I said, those very nice winter boots, because it does get really cold and snowy in some spots.
All right, thanks, Michael. Deanna or Olivia, did you have anything you wanted to add, or maybe kind of what you wear while you're teaching as well?
For teaching, I don't know. I just wear like the same two pants and a couple different shirts and switch them off. It's pretty, for Montessori, we do a lot of sitting on the carpet, so I just wear comfortable clothes. As long as you're not like wearing leggings with a shorter top, then as long as your bottom's covered, then it's okay.
Yeah, my school is really laid back too. I'm actually really lucky where there is no dress code, so I'm fine with just going in wearing jeans. So that's something I would ask when you have your interview with your Czech school, what the dress code's like, because you might find out that you can have a very laid back wardrobe.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So every school is a little different, so definitely make sure that when you do receive a school placement that you ask your school what they expect so that you can pack accordingly. Is there anything, we have a question, is there anything that you wish you would have brought to the Czech Republic that you didn't? And also, is there anything that you brought that you wish you wouldn't have brought?
For wishing what I would have brought, definitely buy an adapter for for your computer and whatnot. I did buy one, but I really wish I bought at least one more, because I would have loved to leave one at school, or have my phone charging and computer charging at the same time. So definitely that is something I wish I had brought.
Yeah, I have 2 adapters, and this is Olivia now. I have 2 adapters, and I would also suggest bringing a portable charger. It's really, really useful when you go on trips, just in case anything, your phone dies really suddenly. It's nice to have that.
All right, thank you. Is there anything you guys wish that you wouldn't have brought?
Not really. I found that when shopping, there's a lot of clothes stores. So, like, for some clothes, I wish I hadn't packed so much, because clothing here is actually really cheap. So, don't stress too much of packing a bunch of sweaters, because everything here, you can pretty much find everything here that you would in the United States.
Yeah, and Deanna and I, we like to go to this place called Textile House. It's really, really awesome. And when they it's like a secondhand thrift shop. And when they have sales, you can buy a shirt for 20 crowns, which is even lower, like 15 crowns, right?
Yeah, less than $1.
Which is less than $1. So, like, don't worry about, like, not being able to afford some things, when you get here, like clothes.
All right, thanks. I think Michael might want to add something, but I think he's back here. He was having a couple technical issues.
There we go. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is horrible. The question was what I didn't pack?
What do you wish you would have brought that you didn't, and do you have anything that you brought that you wish you didn't?
I just felt that I packed too much, honestly. I did bring one suitcase, but like the girls were saying, you can just buy stuff around the city and it's super cheap. So definitely save your money beforehand. T-shirts, can cost you $10, where in the States, and $20, $30 easily. Great.
Thank you, everyone. So next we'll talk a little bit about your orientation of first weeks in the Czech Republic, and Deanna is going to lead us on this topic.
Yeah, so orientation for us was for 5 days. It was held by Vyšší Hrad, which is a gorgeous castle here in Prague. Our time was really busy. I think Michael said, you do a lot of walking. It's jam-packed with activities. We had a Czech language class every day for about 3 hours. But there's also still plenty of time to get to know your fellow CIE participants. And the nice thing about orientation is they also take you out and about. Like Michael said, you have a Czech buddy, and you break up into small groups. So they take you to set up to get your transportation pass, which a lot of you will need to get to your schools, especially if you live in Prague. They help you set up your phone with your SIM cards, phone plans, your bank account here in the Czech Republic, and your ministry appointments, which is very helpful because it can be confusing. They also, TV gave like lectures to us on how our insurance works and about like Czech culture, the food, holidays, just pop culture things. And they also, the CIE staff was amazing with helping us find places to live. They sat down with us if we needed it and combed through the ads to help us find places and, calm us down when we thought, the end of the world was coming because we couldn't find a place in the first 2 days. And they even had a surprise event for us at the end. I won't tell you it in case it's supposed to be a surprise for you guys. But yeah, so they do throw you something at the end. That's super nice. And the weeks after orientation, you might, orientation might feel like a bit like a honeymoon phase because you're just coming into it and everything's new to you. Not to say that afterwards you don't feel excited, but you need to start, settling in. So you might feel overwhelmed with moving into a new apartment, but you need to realize that this is something that you experience wherever you go, if you're moving, to a different country, or even if you're just moving to a new town in the United States. So you need to, some of your apartments might not have the furniture, so you're going to have to go to IKEA or other places. So you need to realize that there will be initial costs, but it's unavoidable. And so again, you might feel overwhelmed, but just connect with people, the CIE staff and your fellow participants, because they're probably feeling the same way as you, but I guarantee you're going to get past it. Okay.
Thank you. Olivia or Michael, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. Deanna covered it. Orientation's a lot of fun. It's going to be overwhelming. And like she said, in the following weeks and even the first month or two, it is going to feel a little bit difficult of an adjustment, but you'll 100% get there and get settled in and feel at home.
Great, thank you. We have a question about phones and how that works in the Czech Republic. Did you guys go over phones in your first week, or how did that work? They're wondering.
Okay, so I did something a little silly, and I went to Vodafone with my mom and my brother when we got here their last week, and I bought a new Vodafone, and it was very unnecessary. All you need to do is when you get here for orientation, they're going to get you set up with one. But if you come earlier, Vodafone or O2 are both great. I do Vodafone, and I have a year-long contract with them that I will cancel 2 months ahead of time. But all you need to do is just buy the SIM card from them and then set up a plan or go month to month. But mine is, super easy. I do 5 gigabytes a month, unlimited text and call, and it's like 700 crowns, which is, how much is that a month? Like $40 or something like that. But it's like very affordable, and the 5 gigabytes works really well for me.
And for me, I have O2, so it was just simply I came to the Czech Republic, popped out my SIM card, they put a new one in. I don't remember how much that cost, but it wasn't expensive. And I just have a plan where once I run out of data, which is about once a month, I go to O2, say I need to top up, and I pay 550 crowns, which would be less than $25, and then I'm good for the next month. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I have a O2 as well, and when you're with your Czech buddy on those days you're walking around with them, they actually do take you to the O2 store. And if you want to get a different plan, they'll help you out as well. I have a 10 gigabyte plan, but no calling or texting, but I use Facebook or even iMessage is considered data. So I just use that instead. And I think mine is roughly 750 maybe. So super cheap for 10 gigs, used all throughout Europe, and it's pretty easy. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you guys. So for those of you who don't know, there is a SIM card in your phone, and I think a lot of phones are now coming unlocked, but you just want to talk to your provider before you leave the United States or your home country in order to make sure that your phone's unlocked so that you can buy that Czech SIM card and plop it into your phone. Again, you'll learn a lot more about it at orientation, but I appreciate everyone's insight. So now we've touched on this a little bit. Deanna, will you tell a little bit about your support network, primarily when you're in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, so your support network can be as large as you want it to be. Obviously, you have the CIE staff and participants to support you, as you go through the process. Even last week, I was very sick, and I wasn't sure exactly how to go about going to the doctors. So I just sent TV a message through Facebook being like, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you recommend where I should go? And within 5 minutes, she had this message back to me saying, you can go here or you can go here. I can book you. I can make you the appointment if you like. They speak English here. So she was right on that. And TV has been so helpful. Stuff with our apartment, making sure that we know our contract that's written in Czech. So I can't stress on how helpful CIE has been with that. Also, your school is another great support network. You will become friends with your coworkers, and Czech people, once you get to know them, they are extremely kind and thoughtful. Again, when I was sick last week, they were, oh, take the week off, get better, don't worry about it, we have your classes covered. Like, I can't tell you enough, like, your school will be a big support system for you. And also, to help you with Czech, I always have messages from, O2 or something. I might be like, hey, can you translate this for me? So your school's a big support system as well. Another thing, there's a lot of Facebook groups for expats, which are people living abroad. I totally recommend joining them. And then you can always you can creep on Facebook to kind of see what other people are saying and see kind of what questions maybe you have already there. Or you can simply ask a question, and the people on these groups are very friendly, and you can pretty much ask anything on these Facebook groups and even meet up with people. Another support network that I've found is actually through tutoring. I tutor both kids and adults, so just through tutoring once a week, you get to know these people, and they, Czech people are extremely kind, and they'll help you out if you ask. So again, your support network it differs, but it's big here.
All right, thanks a lot. So there's a couple questions that came up there, and one is, how do you find those Facebook groups that you mentioned?
If you simply go to, I'm not sure exactly what you have to type in, but if you just go to Prague expats, I'm sure something will pop up. There's like Women of Prague, I'm sure. But if you go to Facebook, we can even share it or give Carrie a link or whatever. But it's very easy to find. Just type in expats Prague and something should pop up.
Okay, thank you. And another question people had is related to tutoring. How do you know how much to charge, and how do you find someone to tutor?
For charge, when we got here, TV had a fellow participant tell us how much she charged. And you can also ask your coworkers. I know I charge like 300 crowns, which is actually on the lower end of the spectrum. I think you can go up as far as like 400, 450, Olivia?
Yeah, I charge 400 for an hour, and it really just depends, who you are tutoring and kind of negotiating with them a little bit. But I tutor some families that I met through my school. They don't actually go to my school, but through my school, and then I ended up they shared my contact with their neighbors, and so now I'm teaching 3 neighbors, and it's really fun. Like, I'll go through their backyard and on to the next lesson.
Yeah, so don't worry about trouble finding people to tutor. They will find you. You'll find people through school, just walking on the streets. So don't worry about finding people. It's extremely easy to find tutoring opportunities.
Thank you, guys. Michael, do you tutor at all?
Yes, I do. I charge 300 and 400 depending. I tutor one adult as well, so she pays 400, and she said even that's on the low side. But 300 is perfect. Like Deanna said, people will just come talk to you on the streets. Oh, do you tutor? Do you tutor? If you speak in English, it's super easy to find these extra gigs around the city, and it definitely helps out at the end of the day with the extra 1,000 crowns in your pocket.
Perfect. Thank you guys for sharing that. Now we'll move on to initial culture shock. So Olivia and Deanna are going to share this topic.
Okay, so really the culture shock is not very bad here at all. Like, a lot of people in Prague speak English, especially around the touristy areas that you'll be at in the beginning. Deanna and I talked about this, and I think that like the biggest culture shock is number one, that there are a lot of signs in a different language, Czech, and some restaurants are just going to be Czech menus. But easy solution, you can use your phone and just Google Translate those. Another big culture shock would be that in general, and this is not for every Czech person, but the customer service is like a little bit different in Czech Republic. So, okay, you walk into a store in America and you're usually going to get a hello, how are you? How can I help you? And smiling. And you walk into a Czech store here and it will be quiet and you won't get somebody outwardly telling you that they're there to help you in whatever you need. However, that you can get past really easily. And as for the people, the Czech people that you meet, Czechs are a little bit more reserved at first, and to an American culture that might seem rude or cold, but it's not. It's just a little bit reserved, and then once you get to know the Czech person more, then so many times I've heard once you get to know a Czech person and have their friendship, they're going to be your friend for the rest of life, and they're very loyal and very trusting and kind. So Czechs don't usually say hello, how are you to each other and smile. It's just not asked as much. But these are all kind of initial things that might bother you at first, but that's like the worst of the worst, which really isn't bad. Yeah.
And as for me, right before this, I was actually in Thailand. So I think any culture shock was pretty much over there. So when I came here, I don't know if I really experienced any besides what Olivia said. You have to get used to Czech people not being more reserved. I would just say
Yes.
reserved. But again, they're sweet people once you get to know them. So just little things that, like Olivia said, might be a culture shock for the first few weeks, but you get over it extremely quick.
And to not be offended by that is the biggest thing. Like if you go to a grocery store and you don't know any Czech yet and you speak in English and the clerk is like, gives you maybe a weird look or doesn't say anything, like it's not personal. It's just different. That's all.
All right, thank you guys. And in Czech Republic, people say they can be maybe more direct than in the United States. There's some other cultures. Is that something you've experienced? I think it's kind of what you were touching on, but just wondering more about that.
So yeah, I think that's kind of what we were touching upon is like if you see like one time I went to a cafe before work, right? And I couldn't say, I was trying to pronounce this, the word of, I don't know, some kind of croissant or something. And the lady that was working gave me a weird look and she gave me something different and was like, said, like she got frustrated that she didn't know English. And so that came off as rude. But if you just kind of are considerate around that and like have a little compassion for the frustration of not being able to communicate, you get by that pretty fast. And then the next time you can practice your Czech. But yeah, I would say just to not take that personally.
All right, thank you. And then in relating to culture shock, sometimes planning comes into place. And in Czech Republic, are things planned more last minute or are they planned far in advance? How does planning typically work, like in your school and even with friends that you've made there?
As far as my school, I mean, I guess compared to what I was used to in the United States, everything is a bit more like last minute. Most schools in the Czech Republic, they'll go on ski trips, but I only found out today, like when my students are going, which will heads up in like a week or two. So just little things, but I don't really experience that too much. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think the planning may just be a little bit more relaxed around that, but nothing extreme. And with my Czech friends, I don't really, notice a difference.
No, neither do I.
All right, and then there's one more question someone has, which is, were you able to go home for Christmas? And if not, like, what was it like being gone for big holidays or things?
Yeah, neither Deanna nor I went home for Christmas. I know Michael went home for Christmas, if you want to touch upon it after, Michael. But I actually really, really enjoyed spending the holidays in a different country. Deanna and I and our friend Kelsey, we went to Italy for Christmas, and it was awesome. Like, Christmas Eve was spent on like we were at a really nice restaurant and had a beautiful Christmas tree, and we're in Florence eating pizza, and for New Year's Eve we were in Rome. So I know you might be really homesick, and a couple people from our program did go home and really loved that. But if you're up for it, I would really suggest staying in Europe and experiencing a holiday in that way, because that's probably like my favorite memory since coming here so far has been that trip.
Yeah, I went home, and it was super easy to take off the time from school. I just kind of asked for the week in advance. Yeah, go right ahead, it's okay. And the cost wasn't too bad. Just the flight time was a lot because I'm from California. It's a 12-hour flight on top of another 3-hour flight, so it wasn't horrible, but it was doable.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, so I think a big thing with culture shock is it's different for everyone, but you do have that support network they talked about, and finding creature comforts or things you like to do can definitely help. I know I've talked to a lot of our teachers, and I've also lived abroad myself, so I really like running, so I'd go and make myself go running, or I'm pretty social, I'd go out with my friends if I ever was feeling down. So I think keeping things that you do at home also can really help you if you find yourself in a slump or experiencing culture shock. And you can always reach out to people that are at CIE, as well as to all your colleagues that are there with you. All right. So we'll go a little bit more. So you're going to Czech Republic to teach, so we'd like to know more about teaching at a Czech school. What's it like? Are you the lead teacher? Are you the co-teacher? Olivia and Michael will lead this one.
You can go ahead, Olivia.
Okay, so teaching at a Czech school. My school is a Montessori school, and it is about 45 minutes away from my apartment. Might seem like a little far, but it goes so quick. I take a tram and then a train and walk 10 minutes, and I'm there. It's super nice to have time to listen to music and read books. Teaching at a Czech school, adjusting and getting to know your students. Yeah, you're like, depending on what grade, I teach kindergarten through 5th grade, and my kindergartners don't, my younger students, some of them don't know a lick of English when I started. But just, I think that my favorite part, and that's helped the adjusting, is really getting to know your students outside of the classroom, or choosing topics with your students to get to know what they like and what they do out of their school. I'm on a family topic with my 2nd and 3rd graders third and 4th graders right now, and it's really fun to get to hear all about their family in very simple ways. And then I also really like to have lunch with my students. Today I taught 1st grade, and then afterwards my little 1st graders asked me to sit next to them during lunch, and so I did. And again, we just had some really simple conversations and pointed to food if we, spaghetti, and that was a lot of fun. But I think it's also really important to get to know your staff too. and working with them. And yeah, I would say that's it. It's been really cool because it is a culture change, and communication is difficult, but you can get past that, and it's a great challenge to go through. Okay, Michael, your turn.
Okay, so I teach at the high school level and a little bit of middle school. So their middle school goes to 9th grade, so I have a full 9th grade class, and then I teach the entire high school, years 1 through 4. They do provide you books, and the books are outstanding to go by. At first, I was kind of reluctant, being that the students really didn't like them, but honestly, you can just find the topic within those books and branch off on your own. There's so many websites out there, a plethora of websites, ESL, teaching, Teacher Buddy, Busy Teacher, anything to help you with worksheets or clarification on stuff. Also, that TEFL course that you'll be taking definitely addresses a lot of the tenses. As native speakers, we really don't realize what type of tenses we use, past perfect, past simple, and etc. It was a little difficult for me at first to differentiate between all these tenses, and the students would be like looking at me curiously. I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry. We don't really learn this in school. It's just, it comes naturally to us. So definitely brush up on that and pay attention to the TEFL course. And in addition, when you do get here, have a couple lessons planned already. You do really hit the ground running. And when the first day I was at school, like, okay, here's your class and here's your schedule. I'm like, oh, okay, great, here we go. I do have about 10 conversation classes, which are going to be only one time a week with the particular grades. My grades are broken up within beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And then the advanced students I have 4 times a week for each grade, and I'm the lead teacher there. And it's been amazing.
All right, thank you guys. Someone has a question about, what's your schedule like? Are you teaching every day, or do you have a day off?
Yeah,
so I teach roughly, go ahead, Olivia.
Thank you. I love my schedule. I do not have Mondays. I don't have to go into school on Mondays, so Mondays are off. Tuesdays I teach my longer days. I teach from 8:30 to 4 with 2 different English courses and 2 different art courses. Wednesdays I only have to go in from 10 to 1 o'clock. Thursdays, I go in from 8:30 to 4 again with a 3-hour break in between. And Fridays, I only teach from 8:30 to 11. So it's like for my schedule at least, it's the easiest, I think, easiest working week I think I'll ever have in my life.
And for me, I teach almost every day. On Thursdays is my lighter day. I usually have 3 classes, but over that, I usually get to work around 7:45, have class at 8, some breaks periodically, and then usually leave around 3 or 4, depending on meetings that you have to attend that are all in Czech, by the way, but you still have to attend, at least at my school.
Thank you. Deanna, did you want to mention your schedule as well, just for some comparison?
Yeah, so like Olivia, I have off on Mondays. So I use that day. I actually have another job. I do online tutoring through VIP Kid. So I use that day to do my other job. And then I'm in school Tuesday through Friday. But Tuesday I go in late, and then Wednesday I leave early. So since most of you will have a bit of a flexible schedule, it's great when you want to tutor. Because you can tutor out before school or after school. I found that a lot of us do have pretty flexible schedules. It's pretty nice.
Thank you. And someone asked, are all of you the lead teachers in your classroom? I know some of you mentioned it, but they were wondering about that.
So for me, this is Deanna. For 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, I co-teach, and then for 4th and 5th graders, I am their teacher, and my teaching blocks are an hour and a half. So that is, I know every school is different, but for me that was kind of a bit of a change to teach for that long. But So I'm both assistant and a lead teacher.
Can you
For me,
or sorry,
oops, sorry.
I was just wondering if Deanna could tell us more about co-teaching and what that's like.
Yeah, so my school, so I am the native speaker at my school, but we also have other Czech teachers who do teach English. So for second and third grade, I will be paired with them, and we break the class into two. So I only deal with 9 kids at once when I'm teaching these grades. When I'm teaching them, the Czech teacher becomes kind of my assistant, but she's there to make sure if there's any language issues or discipline issues, she's there. But co-teaching, it can look different ways depending on who you co-teach with. You might have be like the lead teacher during that time, or you might break the class up with those teachers, or you could simply be there to talk to the kids. So it's different depending on who you're working with.
Great, thank you. Olivia, did you want to say what you were going to say when I asked that other question?
Yeah, sure. For kindergarten, I co-teach with the main kindergarten teacher, and I kind of just do a lesson the first 15 minutes, and then the rest of the time I work one-on-one with the students, just playing different games throughout the classroom. And then for first grade, I teach once a week by myself, and then I do some co-teaching and co-teaching and solo teaching for the grades 2 through 5. And for my art classes, I teach them just by myself.
All right, thank you guys. We have another question, which is actually 2 questions, which is how big are your classes and what is classroom management like?
So this is Deanna. I actually work, my school is a private school, so our class size is extremely small. In each grade, there's only 18 students, and when I teach them, I only teach 9 at a time. So I think my size classroom might be smaller than what's usual. However, I've heard from most other participants that class size is no more than 25 at the most, I'm pretty sure. And management. Management, it depends, I guess, on your grade. With the younger kids, you do a lot of just like physical movement to kind of keep them focused. With the older kids, we might play some games. I think no matter where you teach, you're going to have to do something with discipline, but you kind of have to figure it out as you go with what works best with you and what works best with your particular group of kids, because each group of kids are going to be different.
Yeah, this is Olivia. My classroom sizes are also really small. My smallest class is probably 6 students or 7 students for my art class, and then my largest is the kindergarten, and I think that's 15 or 16 kids, but that's what I'm co-teaching with the other kindergarten teacher. The biggest struggle for me with classroom management is that your kids don't know what you're saying all the time. So for cleanup, for my art classes, that's most difficult, which you won't have to deal with that unless you're teaching an art project that day. But really just choosing your words wisely and using your body, your hand, your hand motions, your facial expressions to communicate with them what they should be doing, and setting those clear expectations, and really just having patience and reminding yourself that they don't know the language helps a lot, is to have patience, and that'll grow throughout the year as well.
And I teach the high school level, so my classes range from 8 students is the smallest, and the biggest are my seniors. They are, I think, 24, 26 in the 20s. Classroom management at that level, just kind of implement technology is what I like to do a lot. And, using your phone for Kahoot. There's an outstanding application called Nearpod. I definitely recommend looking into it. It integrates the iPads, your phones, everything to that. It can go at the student's pace. And like Olivia and Dan are saying that, students do not know 100% of English. So you do have to speak clearly and enunciate your words, or, you can tell the kids are getting pretty upset, especially at the younger level for the seventh graders, ninth graders. I have to, slow down my speech, sometimes put check words up on the board to help them understand what I'm trying to get across as well. And, just lesson planning a week before, the night before, even with that, goes a long way.
Great. Thank you, guys, and thanks, everyone, for the good questions. So we'll go on. We talked about this a little bit, Olivia and Deanna, Michael as well. Do you have anything to add about cultural differences of being in the Czech Republic?
For me, I think we pretty much said everything. Again, Czech people in general are more reserved. If you go to, well, I found out for medicine when I was sick, if you go to the pharmacy, they have a different setup. So, if you just Google search some things, if you're not sure, or, talk to your Czech coworkers. But otherwise, I think I've said everything I want to.
Yeah, and again, the reservedness that is just at first, and to not worry about that, like I said, my Czech families will give me coffee and cake every time I go and tutor them. Really kind, but yeah, I think we covered it all.
All right, thank you, guys. So the next topic that we have is living in the Czech Republic daily life, actually engaging in your community and not being a tourist. So people in their introductions talked a little bit about this, but Deanna and Michael will go a bit deeper here.
All right, yeah, so for living in the Czech Republic, I've said some of this already, but I definitely recommend watching The Honest Guide, because that will tell you a lot of ways that you can be part of the Czech community without doing like touristy things. But I think once you're here, you'll find that you don't really go into the touristy places to begin with. One, because you'll come to realize that tourists are actually really annoying, so you're going to just want to stay away from those areas to begin with. That, and they're mostly expensive, so you're probably not going to go there too often. I know I rarely go there. But in order to become part of your community, I can only speak because I live in Prague, so it might be different for those of you living outside of Prague. But I just go on a lot of walks, stumble into a cafe, things like that. Again, expats. There is a website that you can go to that will list different events that's going on in English. There's also the Facebook groups. I joined a book club that's going to be meeting. So again, another way to meet Czech people and also people from other countries as well. And try to make Czech friends. I have a Czech friend who went to a concert the other night. So it's just a way, like, they know more about the city, obviously, than you will at first. So I recommend doing that and practicing some Czech.
One thing I love doing, especially in the fall, are festivals. There's a really cool festival spot right next to Olivia and Deanna's place, actually right on the river. And that is just superb. It's like immersing yourself in the Czech culture. Every weekend they have something different, from coffee festival to, God, I don't know, beer festival, barbecue festival. There's so much fun. I went with my teachers, counterparts, right before they closed for the winter, and it's so much fun. They bring you to all the local bars, local restaurants, help you around the city even more. But definitely check that out. I think I use prague.eu, and then you can go under events and find festivals. It's a festival guru site, I'd say.
Great, thank you, everyone. Someone has a question of, is the work schedule and like the social schedule, is that kind of the same in the Czech Republic as it might be in the United States, or is it different? Is it later? Like when do people eat meals and things like that?
I think mostly
for eating meals, I think it's the same.
Yeah.
For work and social, at least with our schedule, I would say that it's more laid back. Like I have a lot of friends at home who are, going to work from 8 to 5 and then not really doing anything on the weekdays. But here, there's definitely, you're going to be tired at the end of a work day because it's a work day, but going out for drinks during the weekday or going out to eat is really very easy to do. If anything, maybe eating dinner is a little bit later, but I don't think so.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, my schedule is pretty busy, but I do that to myself because I do tutoring. So your schedule can be as relaxed or as crazy as you want to be, or you have some control over that. For me, and I think for everyone, when you first begin working here, doing your tutoring sessions and working at your school, you're going to definitely want to spend more time on planning them. But as the year goes on, you'll find out like what your students like and what works best. So I think your workload actually decreases once you're past the first few months of living here.
Great, thank you guys. So now we'll talk a little bit about accommodation. Can Olivia and Michael will lead this, but can you guys share if you had provided accommodation or if you found your own accommodation and kind of what's typical in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, I think both Michael and I both found our own accommodations. Before coming to Prague, I was really nervous about it and didn't know if I wanted a roommate or I didn't want a roommate. But you guys will get a Facebook group with everybody that's going to be in the program. And I communicated Deanna Jelani, who's our other roommate, and I all communicated on Facebook before. And I thought, okay, cool, it's July. I'll look for apartments online and see what I can do. But you really can't find an apartment until coming here because apartments turn over really, really fast in Prague. So Deanna mentioned this earlier, but TV is like super, super helpful during orientation to find a place. There was probably 10 of us that all sat in a room and she Googled a bunch of places and figured out she knows the city so well. So she figured out, okay, is this going to be a good location for your commute? So for each one of us roommates, I think it's about 45 minutes to an hour commute for all of us. Be prepared to have some upfront money for the rent. And I know this will be all laid out for you guys, but for the rent and then for most of the people that I knew, we had to pay a retail, what's it called? A fee for the, like the landlord, the initial ones, deposit, and then also a retailer's fee. The fee for the guy who sets it up for you. I forgot the retailer's fee. Yeah. And then also advice that somebody gave me, and I think was really good advice, was if you go to an apartment and you like that apartment, tell them that you really like it. And if they ask you if you want it, say yes, because you can always back out before you sign the contract, but there might be other people interested. So Deanna and my apartment, I love it. It's amazing. It's right next to the river, right next to metro and tram stop. We were the first people to see the apartment. He asked me, what time do you want to come, 2 or 4? And I said 2 o'clock. And we got here 10 minutes till 2. And after us, there was 10 other people that saw the apartment. But since we said yes when we were here and we were the first people, we got the apartment. So be like as positive you can be and upfront about wanting an apartment when you do want it. It's a little expensive at first, but that is just anywhere you move to, any city you move to, it's going to be a little expensive at first. We got lucky that our apartment was an Airbnb before us, and so there's a bunch of furniture that we were able to buy off of the guys, so we didn't have to move. I know some people got their apartments with furniture already in it. So again, it just kind of depends, and it's the luck of the straw sometimes as well. Luck of the draw. Luck of the draw. I'm awful at phrases, but yes. But you will find a place. And the one thing that I did do before was research the neighborhoods, a little bit of their locations and a little bit of the layout of the city and how far that would be from my school once I found out about my school. Okay, Michael, go for it.
Okay, a couple websites that you may want to write down or take note of that we looked at, and Olivia and Danny can jump in as well. I think srealty.cz is where we found, my buddy and I found ours. Also Facebook groups, Prague Flats, Prague Apartments. They're closed groups. All you do is just ask to join it, and then someone will grant you within an hour. And people put up rooms there, even full apartments, and they usually range from 7,000 crowns is the least, I would say, and up to 20 or 30,000. I think your budget, you want to stay around 9 to 12. I pay 9,000, everything included. Fortunately, I live one stop away from my school, so the fastest I've ever gotten to school was 10 minutes. If I forgot to hit the metro on time, in maybe 20 minutes. Definitely recommend looking at something close to your school. And on the metro line, A, B, and C metro line, it takes me 11 minutes to get from Rastuli to EP Pavlova, which is the center metro stop, and I'm right in the city. It's super easy when you're right next to the metro, but definitely look at those sites. Any other sites you think of, girls?
So a lot of the sites, we're definitely going to address those in pre-departure orientations, and TV has them as well. So if you think of other ones, you can definitely say them right now, but just for people listening, you don't have to worry too much because we're going to definitely be providing you with a lot of that information as well.
Definitely. And also, it was probably one of the most stressful things that we had to do was finding housing, but TV is there and she'll help you every step of the way. She'll even help you call the people, make the appointment to go see the house, and she definitely helps you a lot.
All right, thank you guys. So someone asked, is CIE housing in the city center and what it's like? So I just want to clarify, during orientation you are staying at the CIE Study Center, which is pretty centrally located. But after that, if your school is providing housing, it's normally quite close to your school. Remember, all schools can be within an hour of Prague. And then if you're finding your own housing, you really get to choose where you want to live. Living in the center of Prague is much more expensive than living outwards. So can all three of you just mention, are you living really close to the city center? They're wondering, are you living further away? I know you mentioned kind of how many stops it was, but just in terms of how close to the city center is it?
Yeah, Deanna and I live very central. We can get anywhere in the city within like 15 minutes, I would say, unless it's like the very northern part. But we pay 9,800 or something each with utilities, with everything, and it's 110% worth it. Yeah, if you can find a place that's in the city center, at least from our experience, if you can find a place in the city center and near it for 10,000 each person, then I would say go for it if you're okay with the commute. But yeah, we have, like I said, the metro, the tram, the buses. We're near, I think it's like a 15-20 minute walk to Wenceslas Square, which is the main square, and same thing with Old Town, like maybe like a 20-minute walk and then like 10 minutes on tram. Yeah. So, and again, it's like, I think we got pretty lucky, but this is a possibility that you can do.
Like I said, just be close to the metro stations. If you're next to a metro station, you're pretty much in the city. I live maybe 5 miles away from Olivia, Indiana, and the metro is super, super easy and fast just to get over there and to their place.
Great, thank you guys. So to cut costs with accommodation, having roommates definitely helps, as all of these guys have mentioned. They do live with other people, and the further you live out of the city center, the cheaper. The closer you live to the city center, often the more expensive. And you also need to take into account, as Olivia and Deanna mentioned, like what commute time do you want? If you want to live right in the center of things but commute further to work, that's certainly an option. But if you'd rather be closer to school and maybe commute further to the city center, that's an option too. So you'll definitely be learning a lot more about that when you decide to go to Prague and when you're hired up in Prague. All right, so we have 10 minutes left of our webinar and a few more topics. So Deanna, do you want to talk just a little bit about eating and food in the Czech Republic?
Sure. So like in the United States, it's easier here to buy your own ingredients and cook than it is to go out to eat. However, there is a lot of cheap options that you can look into as long as you're out of the touristy areas. So food here is definitely cheaper than in the United States. In Czech Republic, it's a lot of bread, potatoes, and meat. But if you are a vegetarian, people are familiar with the word vegetarian. Like I know in some other cultures they're not. So here you don't really have anything to worry about. They even have like vegetarian, vegan places specifically. And you can see the word vegetarian on the menu pretty clearly. So there's not too much I had to say, but look into before coming here some stuff that you want to try to eat. There are some cool things, local cuisine, but cooking your own meals will be cheaper, but you can also eat out. That's pretty cheap. And of course, the beer here is the cheapest in the world, basically.
Thank you, Michael or Olivia. Did you have anything you wanted to add, or any dishes you really must eat while you're in Czech Republic?
I would say beer and goulash.
There we go.
Beer and goulash, yes. And I'm a vegetarian, but I was told to try the goose. That's like a traditional meat at the holiday time. So I did cheat and I did have it, and it was delicious. And yeah, like Ben said, if you're a vegetarian, like they know what that means. And there's a lot of vegetarian restaurants around. There's this place called Loving Hut, and it's super cheap, nice, like vegetarian fast food. So don't worry if you're a vegetarian or vegan, like you'll be able to find places. It's pretty easy.
Great, thank you guys. And I always think try things. Always try things when you're traveling or living abroad, even if you just try it once. Speaking of which, traveling, Olivia and Michael, I know that some people have mentioned some travels they've taken, but do you guys have any tips or thoughts on traveling and its accessibility?
You can go, Michael.
Okay. It's super accessible. I went, like I said, to the mountains an hour north, and you just take RegioJet or Flixbus, one of the two, for I think it was $8 round trip, and then everything relatively is pretty inexpensive. But as soon as you go west, I would say, I'm in Amsterdam right now, and it's costing me an arm and a leg. But other than that, it's EasyJet, Ryanair, any of those budget airlines. It costs $60 round trip to come to Amsterdam. Definitely save your money before you get here.
Yeah. So I've been to 4 or 5 different countries so far, and I know some other people in the program have been to more, but like it really is very, very affordable. There's a great website which we can share with Gary to you guys, but it's called Skyscanner, and you can like go to, I might be going to Copenhagen in May for like $40, and it's like super cheap. And then I would really highly suggest going through hostels when you travel, if you're able to, if your like sleep patterns are able to go through that. But hostels are super cheap. I think that, and Airbnbs too. There was a hostel that Deanna and I stayed at in Italy that was $12.
Yeah,
No,
super cheap.
just super cheap. But yeah, so I would recommend Skyscanner and doing hostels and going through Airbnb, and then also traveling with friends. But I'm looking forward to also going on some solo trips, at least one. So yeah, there's a lot of places to go.
Thank you. And when do you get to travel? Someone's wondering, like, do you have time off from work, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we have just like the regular vacation holidays, like the winter break and other holidays. The CIEE program suggests to your school that you can have 7 days off. However, at my school, I think my coworker took off 8 weeks in the fall, or not 8 weeks, 8 days in the fall, and then she still has 6 this semester, this spring semester, so she gets a total of 14 days off, I think. And then I've just taken off a day for being sick and have still been able to travel a bunch. So you can take off school if your work allows you to, and if not, there's plenty of holidays that you can do so. But I think I'll be taking off 7 days in the next 2 or 3 months. So yeah, just sometimes flights are cheaper during the weekday.
All right, thank you guys. So yeah, the key is your Czech School is your employer. So as with any job, you want to make sure that you can travel or take the time off if you're taking it off. But there's a lot of Czech holidays as well, and your weekends when you can do shorter trips or explore the region. So thank you guys. And I think for our last topic, Olivia, you're going to be leading this, but of course everyone can jump in. What are the personal benefits you found of teaching in the Czech Republic?
There are so many. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this, this has been definitely one of my favorite years of my life. So much personal growth, so much learning about other cultures. And I think that it's really, so before coming here, I was in between Thailand and Prague. And I went with Prague just because I was interested in a few other places in Europe to travel, and I knew that it would be accessible. So I would say that a personal benefit, would be going, and there's not too much culture shock, but there's so much growing that you do while you're here. And with the Czech Republic, in Prague especially, there are a lot of people that speak English, and there's a lot of people that don't. So overall, it's just been a year of personal growth and being able to create relationships and establish relationships in the Czech Republic. And knowing that I had one teacher tell me, I told her I wasn't staying next year, and she told me, you're welcome back anytime. So just making those relationships and knowing that you have them somewhere in Europe, and that I know that after this year, this isn't the last time I'll be in Europe. I know for sure that I'll be coming back to travel, and I know for sure that I'll have friends that I'll be able to stay with, and relationships that I'll maintain.
Thanks, Olivia. Deanna or Michael, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think Olivia hit it pretty well, but you definitely grow as a person here. You find that you're capable of doing a lot more than you thought you could. I think that comes from being in a different country where people speak different languages. So you have to, fend for yourself. CIE is definitely here for you, but you have to, become your own advocate sometimes. So that's definitely a personal benefit. And also just the people you meet. I love my school. I love the kids I teach. I'm staying here for another reason because of that. there's so many really, but yeah, definitely makes you a better person.
Yeah, and I also want to add on, this is Olivia again, the personal benefit. I loved traveling before. I love traveling so much more now because I have that confidence to travel and to not need like my parents on the other end of the phone. And that after I do this, like I'm looking at programs in different countries now for next year because I'm confident in myself and my abilities to go to a different country, establish myself, make friendships, be able to teach English to students who don't know it. So there's just so many personal benefits. But yeah, self-growth and a continued passion for traveling would be another one.
All right. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And, you know, as with anyone who goes abroad, I think you definitely grow. I know I did when I was abroad. So appreciate all of your insight and with all the topics. So I want to really thank everyone for joining us, especially our three panelists and Michael for joining us on his vacation. I hope you can hear the passion and how much they're having a good time and growing themselves and meeting a lot of new people. These are some of our participants, again, who, I guess in this photo, are eating ice cream. But we are still having our application open for the fall of 2019. Again, there's only the one departure in the fall. So if you want to go and don't want to wait till 2020, I definitely encourage you to apply by March 1st. I know some of you here today have already applied and been accepted. So for wherever you are in the process, we're excited to work with you. And if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to me later at kplath@cie.org or by giving me a call or setting up a call. My number is 207-274-5773. I'm normally working Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so I am available for you. I'd love to hear from people, answer your questions. And again, I want to thank everyone. I know it's a long webinar, but I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join, and especially our panelists for sharing all of their knowledge with us. So thank you guys so much. One question, so we are accepting applications to March 1st. So if you are still applying and haven't already been accepted, then you can definitely apply by March 1st. If you're further in the process, then we're happy that you're at that point in the process as well. So thanks again. Huge shout out to our panelists, and I look forward to working with all of you. And Michael, Olivia, and Deanna, I hope you guys have a good evening. Bye.